£87 million. That's what it costs. That's what Arsenal are being told it would take to bring one of the most exciting wingers in Europe to the Emirates this summer. And the thing is, I think they're going to do it. I genuinely think this is happening. But here's the part that makes this story so much more complicated than just a transfer fee. Because it's not just about the money. It's never just about the money. There's a player on the other end of this who has his own plans, his own ambitions. And right now, those ambitions might not include Arsenal. So before we get excited, before we start doing the whole new signing, new season thing, we need to actually talk about what's going on here. Because there are layers to this, real layers. And I've been sitting with this story for a few days now. And I have thoughts, a lot of thoughts. My name's James. If you're new here, welcome. This channel is for Arsenal fans who want more than headlines. Who want to actually think about football, who want analysis, opinion, honest takes, not just noise. If that's you, stick around. And if you enjoy what you're about to hear, honestly, just hit subscribe. It means a lot. It genuinely helps. Right, let's get into this. So, Nico Williams, 23 years old, left winger, Athletic Bilbao, Spain international, Euro 2024 winner. You know who he is. You've seen what he can do. But let me ask you something, and I want you to actually think about this. When was the last time Arsenal signed a player who could genuinely change the identity of this attack? Like, not just add quality, but change the identity, because that's what Nico Williams does. He doesn't just run in behind. He doesn't just tick boxes. He creates chaos. He makes defenders panic. And right now, Arsenal's attack, as good as it is in certain phases, does not have that. And here's why that matters more than people are saying. This season, Arsenal have been brilliant in so many ways. The structure, the pressing, the build-up play. Arteta has built something that is genuinely hard to play against. We're top of the league. We know this. But if I'm being honest with you, and I'm always honest on this channel, there are moments in big games where Arsenal look predictable on the left side, and that's the problem. Think about it. When Arsenal are attacking and the opposition has dropped into a low block, which every team does against us now because they have to, what's the weapon on the left? Who is it that can genuinely unlock a door that's been bolted shut? Leandro Trossard is 31. He's smart, he's technically excellent, but he's not going to beat a defender in a 1 versus 1 and make them look silly. That's just not his game. Martinelli. Right, we'll get to Martinelli, and there's a lot to say there, but Noni Madueke is a right winger playing on the left. He's adapted well, credit to him, but ask yourself, is that the long-term answer? Is that what a team competing for the Premier League title and the Champions League should be relying on? No. And Arteta knows that. Berta knows that. That's exactly why this move is being driven so hard from the top. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because the reports coming out, and these are verified, these aren't just rumors from random sources, say that Andrea Berta is personally driving the interest in Williams. Not just monitoring, not just an email to a scout, personally driving it. That tells me something. Berta spent years at Atletico Madrid. He knows the Spanish football landscape better than almost anyone at any Premier League club right now. He has watched Nico Williams closely. He knows exactly what he's getting. And the fact that he's made this a personal priority in his first summer as Arsenal sporting director, that says everything about how serious this is. This isn't a one-of-many options situation. This is Berta saying, I want this player. And that matters. Because when a sporting director commits at that level, it changes how a club negotiates. It changes the energy around a deal. But here's the thing I need you to think about. The release clause. £87 million. That's what the most reliable sources are saying. Some outlets put it at 78 million. Some as high as 100 million euros. There's a bit of noise around the exact number, but the bracket we're working in is between 78 and 87 million. Let's say roughly 80 to 85 as a realistic figure. Now, is that a lot of money? Yes, obviously. But is it a lot of money for Nico Williams specifically? I don't think so. And here's why. When you look at what top wide players are selling for right now in this market, 85 million for a 23-year-old who is already proven at international level, already proven in a major European league, who has his absolute peak years ahead of him. That's not crazy. That is market rate. That is the world we live in. Arsenal spent £250 million last summer. They have shown they are willing to invest at that level. This isn't a stretch for them. The question is, not can they do this deal financially? The question is, does Nico Williams actually want to come? And this is where I want to spend some time, because I think this is the most underreported part of the story. Williams is interesting. He's not your typical 23-year-old who is desperate to leave for the bright lights. He has a genuine connection to Athletic Bilbao. This is his club. He came through the academy from the age of 10. He was born in Pamplona to Ghanaian parents. He is not Basque by blood, but that connection to this club, it runs deep. It's real. It's not just PR. Last summer, and we should remember this, he was on the verge of joining Barcelona. That saga dragged all summer. And then at the last minute, he signed a new 10-year contract with Bilbao. 10 years, and everyone was shocked. So this is a player who, when the moment came, chose loyalty over the big move. Now, here's what's changed. The reports coming out now, credible reports, intermediary briefings, market testing activity from his camp suggests that the situation has shifted. And the reason it shifted is actually quite simple. Athletic Bilbao have had a difficult season. There's frustration. Williams has ambitions that the club may not be able to match. And I think he has looked at where Bilbao are right now and thought, is this really where I see my career going? And you can't blame him for that. You genuinely can't. But here's the context that I think is crucial, because it actually tells you everything about where Williams' head is. Last season, Athletic went on a brilliant European run, all the way to the Europa League semi-finals. They drew Manchester United, and they got beaten heavily. 7-1 on aggregate. That was a real blow for a club with serious ambitions. But they bounced back, finished fourth in La Liga, qualified for the Champions League for the first time in over a decade. And you'd think that would be the thing that keeps Williams at the club. Finally, the big stage, the Champions League. But here's the twist. Bilbao were eliminated from the Champions League in the league phase, couldn't get through. 8 points, 29th of 36 teams, out in January. That dream, it didn't go the way Williams or the club hoped. And I think that's significant, because I think he sat there watching that door close in January and asked himself a very real question. If we couldn't do it this year, when can we? Tell me I'm wrong here. Think about it. A player who is 23, who wants to compete at the very highest level, who has watched his club fall short in 2 consecutive seasons in Europe. The desire to leave doesn't shrink after that. It grows. And that is exactly what Arsenal fans need to understand. This isn't just a money conversation. It's a career conversation. And right now, the trajectory at Athletic is not pointing up. Right, now I have to talk about Martinelli. And I want to be careful here, because this is someone who has given a lot to this club. Someone I have watched grow from a kid with incredible potential into a key part of the Arsenal squad for years. But honest analysis requires honest words. This season has not been good enough from Martinelli in the Premier League. 1 goal, 1. In what is now a significant number of league appearances. And yes, most of them have been as a substitute, I know that. But even accounting for that, the impact hasn't been there. What's worrying me more than the numbers, though, is the nature of his performances. There's something missing. The electricity he had in 22-23. That season where he scored 15 Premier League goals and you thought, right, this player is going to be a top 10 winger in the world within 2 years. That version of Martinelli has not been here this season. And I think some of it is confidence, some of it is competition. When Easy and Madueke came in, Martinelli went from being one of the first names on the team sheet to 3rd or 4th choice on the left side. That does something to a player. That changes how they feel on the pitch. But here's the harder truth. Arteta has options now. Real options. Options he didn't have 2 years ago. And in a squad that has this kind of depth, you cannot carry a player through a confidence dip indefinitely. Not at the level Arsenal are trying to compete at. And there's a contract situation too. Martinelli is entering the final year of his deal. Arsenal have an option to extend, but only if he's willing to accept a reduced role, a bit part role. And that is an almost impossible ask of a 24-year-old who still believes, genuinely believes, he can be a starter at the top level. So you have a player who wants to stay but may not have a real future, and a club that wants to sell but genuinely likes the player. That's a difficult dynamic. That's a conversation that nobody wants to have. And PSG are circling. Luis Campos has reportedly held talks with Martinelli's camp. That is not speculation. That has been reported by L'Equipe. And if PSG come in with a proper offer, somewhere around 50 million, which is what Arsenal are reportedly asking for, I think this deal happens. And I'll be honest with you, as sad as that would be, because I have a real soft spot for Martinelli, I think it would be right for him too. He needs a fresh start. He needs a manager who believes in him completely. He needs to feel like the main man somewhere. not the fourth choice on the left wing. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to actually compare what Arsenal currently have on the left with what Nico Williams would bring. Not just vibes, actually compare. Because I think when you look at the underlying data, this is where the conversation becomes really clear. Williams ranks in the top 6% of wingers across Europe's Big Five leagues for expected assists. Top 6%. That means that even when the goals and assist numbers look modest, and this season they have been modest, 4 goals and 6 assists across all competitions, the underlying contribution is elite. The chances he's creating, the positions he's getting into, the quality of the opportunities he's generating, that data is top tier. He's also in the top 5% for successful dribbles, top 5% and for touches in the opposition box, and for possession won in the final third. What does all that tell you? It tells you that Nico Williams is a player who consistently operates in dangerous areas, wins the ball high up the pitch, beats defenders, and creates genuine goal-scoring chances, even in a season disrupted by injury, even in a team that hasn't been performing at its best. Now compare that to what Arsenal currently have on the left. Trossard, as I said, is 31. His game is about intelligence and positioning, not beating people. Martinelli, when fit and confident, can be excellent, but his consistency has been a real problem. Madueke is better suited to the right. Williams on the left of Arsenal's attack, with Bukayo Saka on the right, with Havertz or whoever comes in through the middle, that is a front three that has genuine variety, genuine unpredictability. And that is exactly what has been missing in the moments that matter most. Let me ask you a question, and I want you to answer this honestly, either in your head or down in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. Do you believe Arsenal can win the Champions League with their current left side options? Because I've been asking myself that, and I keep coming back to the same answer. Not comfortably, not consistently. The very best teams in Europe have that difference maker. That player who on a tight night in a knockout game when everything is compressed and space is impossible to find, they do something. Something individual. Something that nobody else can do. Something that unlocks the whole thing. Williams is that player. He showed it at Euro 2024 on the biggest stage international football has. He has shown it for Bilbao for years. And at 23, with Arsenal's structure and Arteta's coaching behind him, I think he becomes one of the best wingers in the Premier League within 12 months. That's not hype. That's where I genuinely think this goes. Now, the competition, because Arsenal are not the only ones in this race. Let's be very clear about that. Barcelona are hovering. They've always wanted this player. They missed out last summer, and I don't think they've accepted that. But, and this is important, Barcelona's priority this window is a defender and a striker. A left winger at nearly 100 million euros is not at the top of their list right now. So while they remain a threat, they are not likely to go all in. Chelsea are interested. Manchester United have been linked, Liverpool too. But none of those clubs have the specific combination that Arsenal offer right now. They are the Premier League leaders, potentially champions. They play attractive football. They have a manager who develops wide players better than almost anyone. And they have a sporting director who personally knows and admires this player. Arsenal's project is genuinely the most compelling offer on the table. If Williams truly wants to take the next step in his career, Arsenal makes the most sense. Here's the part where I want to zoom out for a second, because I think there's a bigger picture here that the transfer chatter sometimes obscures. This signing, if it happens, is not just about replacing Martinelli. This is Berta making a statement. This is Arsenal saying, we are not a selling club. We are not a club that loses a winger and replaces him with a decent option. We go out and we get the best young winger in Spain. We pay what it costs. We win the signing. That sends a message to every player in European football about what kind of club Arsenal is right now. And that matters for future recruitment. It matters for contract renewals. It matters for the culture inside the building. Berta came in from Atletico Madrid, where he oversaw some of the most intelligent transfer business in European football over the past decade. He understands how one signing done right can change the perception of a club completely. I think he sees Williams as that signing, one in, one out. Martinelli funds a significant portion of the deal, the rest gets covered, and Arsenal enter next season with an attack that has genuine star power on both sides. That's the plan. I can see it clearly, and honestly, I love it, but I have to give you the worry, because I always give you the worry. The injury concern with Williams is real. pubalgia, which is essentially a pubic bone stress injury, a groin and abdominal issue. It's nasty. It kept Williams to fewer than 20 starts this season. It's also affected Lamine Yamal and Cole Palmer in the same campaign, so it's not unique to him, but that doesn't make it less of a risk. When you're paying 85, 87 million pounds for a winger, you are paying for availability as much as ability. A player who misses a third of a season through injury in back-to-back years is a genuine problem. Not a reason not to buy, but a reason to go into this with eyes open. And I think Arsenal would do their medical due diligence here. Berta is thorough. He's not going to push through a deal without understanding the injury history fully. But I'd be lying if I said it wasn't sitting in the back of my mind. So where does this all land? Here's my read of the situation right now. The Williams deal is live. It's real. His camp are actively working the market. Arsenal are at the front. Berta is personally involved. The financial structure, Martinelli out for 50, Williams in for 85 to 87. Makes sense. The obstacle is not money. The obstacle is whether Williams, when he looks at all his options, picks Arsenal. I think he does. I genuinely think he does. Because Arsenal right now, as a project, as a destination, as a place where a young winger can become genuinely world-class, there's nothing better on offer. But I've been wrong before. And this is football. Nothing is done until the shirt is on and the announcement is made. What I know for certain is this. Arsenal need this, not desperately, not as a panic buy, but as the logical, intelligent next step in building a squad that can compete for everything. Williams would be the final piece on the left side. The piece that makes this attack genuinely frightening from either flank. And when you have Saka on one side and Williams on the other, genuinely, who is defending that? That's a nightmare for any team in Europe. Full stop. Let me know what you think. Seriously. Drop it in the comments below. Do you want this deal? And if Martinelli leaves to fund it, are you okay with that? Or does it feel like we're giving up on someone too early? Because I've seen some really strong opinions on this split right down the middle. Half the fan base thinks Martinelli needs to go now. The other half thinks we're making a mistake selling a 24-year-old who could still have his best years ahead of him. I've told you where I stand. Now I want to hear from you. And if you've made it this far and you're not subscribed yet, come on, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed this. It keeps the channel going and it genuinely helps more Arsenal fans find this kind of content. I'll be back with more very soon because this summer is only just getting started and I have a feeling it's going to be one to remember. Come on, Arsenal.